about your investments. We're just a touch away. Monday to Friday at 12:30 p.m. only on Bloomberg Quint.
And welcome to Bloomberg Quint. You're watching Insolvency Diaries. Orchid Pharma, Ruchi Soya, Adhunik Metaliks, Amtek Auto and its subsidiaries all have a runaway groom problem. The winning bidders of all these insolvent companies want to now back out of the insolvency process. Liberty House and Deccan Value are contesting the information that became the basis of their bids. Adani Wilmar have cited delays in the resolution process as the reason for their disinterest, and Indian Capital is simply refusing to pay up. So what's the fate of these insolvent companies? Rebidding or liquidation? And what consequences will these bidders have to face? To answer that, I'm joined by Bahram Vakil of AZB. Bahram, welcome to Insolvency Diaries. What do you make of all these cases where bidders are refusing to pay up? Is it a bidder-specific problem or larger, process issue?
Thanks a lot. No, I think it is very unfortunate, no question about that. It hurts the process, and I think it's a bidder-specific problem. And what I'm told, certainly don't have any personal knowledge, but that Liberty has done this in other parts of the world as well, where they have delayed right to the end. And maybe we should have done, as a country or as a group, a little more due diligence on this aspect. But we need to tighten the rules and make the penalties stiffer so that this does not happen in future, because it's very unhelpful.
Okay, and what about the other cases? For instance, Indian Capital, Deccan Value, Adani Wilmar. Adani Wilmar seems to be saying that, the process have gone on for that long and there is delay in closing the deal, which is why, they want to back out. How do you explain that?
No, as I say, that definitely is not helpful to the process, and therefore the rules will need to be tightened to make sure that this does not happen in future, or there is a big cost to changing your mind very late in the game.
I will come to the consequences for these bidders, but what happens to these insolvent companies now? In some of these cases, for instance, ARGL and Adhunik, the resolution professional and the COC have been allowed to look for new bidders. Now, does the law allow for the process to start all over again? Will the resolution professional have to issue fresh EOIs, or do you negotiate with bidders who had already submitted expression of interest but didn't win? How will the process need to go on from here?
Yeah, so I think the most efficient and time-effective way would be, as you mentioned in these cases of Adhunik, etc., where they, rather than go for liquidation, because strictly, technically speaking, as of now, it would be where you would just have to go in for liquidation, because there aren't any specific provisions for this kind of situation. But certainly I think there should be, because liquidation would not be the most efficient solution in these circumstances. So to your question about what do you do, I think what you do is, if there is a H2, then as the COCs have requested in these cases, you go to the second highest and try and close a transaction with them. And if there is no second bidder, which is also the situation in some cases, then of course you have no choice but to restart the EOI process.
And what could be the potential consequences of restarting this process? Do you think this will impact the bid value?
Yeah, it's certainly likely to. So it all depends on the the commercial value of the assets at that time, the market situation, but it's very likely to have a negative impact because you've already been through it once and it has failed, so people will feel that this is now even a more distressed situation and will take full advantage of that. And that is why I say the consequences should be stiff.
Okay, you pointed out that clearly the process, Bahram, doesn't allow for the clock to start ticking again. How do you account for the time that has already been, has already been consumed in the resolution process? From where do you start the clock again now?
So that's something, it's just what they will work out in these specific cases. So it will be fact specific in each case. I think what COC has requested is that you, remove the period that was taken for the prior transaction and then add in those days, because if, and again, I say it's case specific because are you going all the way back to a new EOI in which you'll have to give that entire time period, or if you're going just, there is a H2, so you're going straight back to the H2, then hopefully it will be less of a time delay. So it will be very fact specific.
No, it is fact specific, but neither the IBBI model timeline accounts for bidders running away and refusing to pay up, nor we have precedent in terms of the NCLT saying that where do you start the clock. So how will the resolution professionals and COC go about it?
But there are only two ways really. As you said, the NCLT is going to hear this very soon. So they will set precedent, and then, whether, depending on whether it's challenged into further tiers, you'll have case law. I mean, in a new law, we are still, truly speaking, 18, 19 months into this IBC process, because not much happened in the first 6 months. So you would imagine that there will be new scenarios like this. Every scenario cannot be envisaged. So the solutions can only come through case law or through new rules, regs or statutory amendments. So those are the only two modalities, and we'll have to see as it plays out which one sorts this issue out.
Okay, let me come to now what becomes of these bidders who are, for a variety of reasons refusing to pay up, because some of them are arguing process delays and misinformation. Are these valid grounds to back out from the resolution process once your bid has been selected?
I think, again, it will be fact specific, but I'm not sure. I'm not in a position to say whether the grounds are valid. All I can say is that I think we should come to the consequences, because that's the only way you're going to deter this kind of behavior. And there are, of course, there is a consequence already there in 74(3), but I'm not sure whether that's strong enough. Again, let's see how that plays out. You can be imprisoned for 1 to 5 years, and you have a fine of from 1 lakh to 1 crore. I think that certainly is too low. That needs to be enhanced, or we have to come up with a specific solution for that. And I think also there needs to be a disqualification. So I'm quite sure that Section 29A will also get amended to add people who have behaved in this improper way. And to my mind, there are two solutions. One is either you say you're disqualified and blackballed for good, and you cannot, be a bidder in the future, or you say because this happened, if you do bid, you have to give 100% bank guarantee, so that your bid is fully secure and there is no question of this happening. I mean, it's for the decision makers to make that call, how strongly they want to stamp this out and stop this from happening in future.
Okay, so in terms of consequences, Bahram, do we distinguish cases where, let's say, the resolution plans have been approved by the NCLT versus those where only the COC has voted on them? Does the law differ in terms of the treatment between such bidders?
Yes, yes. So what I mentioned, everything I mentioned is post NCLT.
Okay, and what happens to cases where, let's say, only the COC has, approved the bid and, the resolution plan is yet to get NCLT approval? What happens in those cases?
Yeah, that is also a very tricky issue, and that is playing out already. So there we would have to think through and come up with both consequences and solutions.
And what could potentially those consequences be? Because currently the law doesn't allow or sort of envision this sort of a scenario, right?
No. So I guess it would have to be one step milder, but certainly it should be strong enough again to be a deterrent. So unless you really had a bona fide or just cause, it should be a very strong deterrent. In the same lines, maybe again in that situation you don't want a permanent black ball and disqualification, but the bank guarantee requirement would have to be steep. So whether you say 75%, 80%, something like that, to make sure that people think twice before doing that.
Okay, I will just, one last question that I have for you is, in ARGL's case, Bahram, the NCLT upheld the sanctity of the process note, that said that the incoming bidders or the winning bidders will have to do their own due diligence. And so these arguments are very easy to take that, the resolution professional didn't give us A information or B information. How do you think courts will look at such arguments?
I do not believe that in the vast majority of cases the court would disregard such arguments.
So you think that there will be merit in these arguments?
No.
Okay, all right. All right, Bahram, thank you so much for joining us here on Insolvency Diaries and taking us through some of the consequences for the insolvent companies and the winning bidders who are now refusing to pay up. Thank you so much for watching.